And welcome back to Jeff Koinange Live here at Citizen Studios with a star-studded cast, folks. Why? Because Echoes of War has been echoing across the country, folks. Written by Cleophas Malala, who's in the House. He's going to be defending it. He has been defending it throughout. And then the other people who said it didn't deserve to be in the finals. So let's talk about it. And freedom of expression. KJ here, MP for Dagoretti South. He was an actor back in the day. Remember Ridiculous? Those were the days when there was freedom of expression and it was tough times, but they managed. What is wrong today? Dennis Itumbi, head of Presidential Special Projects. Did I get that right, Dennis? Thank you. Presidential Special Projects. He says Butere Girls did not perform today on the special gala that was held at State House Nakuru. Why not, Dennis? I mean, it was number one for many people.
Well, many people are not the adjudicators. The bench of the secondary schools has 3 adjudicators at the national level. The play was not adjudged to be the best. What you're referring to there as a special gala is not called a special gala. It's called the State Winners Concert. So at every category from ECD to primary schools, JSS, secondary schools, colleges and TVETs, and universities, which have 10 categories each. This festival, Jeff, from the zonal level to the national level, had 850 items.
Yeah.
It had 1,000 adjudicators, and then it had 400,000 to 500,000 performers from the zonal level. So this is a huge festival, and it happens every year. So today, it would be unfair to say that State House stopped Butere Girls from performing today. It did not. The adjudicators made the decisions. The play was not adjudged the winning item of the festival. The winning items, a sample of the winning items of the festival came. Realize, for instance, Embu County had 3 items. Kanyo Bora won an item on the verses. There was Moi High School, Mbirore winning a play. And there was one school in Embu, I forget, which also won something. So also for regional balance, you take one item from Embu among the 3 winning items and spread the others to West Pokot, to the coast, so that you present a unified presentation of the
I like the way you said Embu because that's where you're from, but that's another story altogether.
But it's fact. I have nothing to do with it. They just won.
Cleophas Malala, was that unfair?
First of all, I'm a very disappointed person tonight. One, because today the president disappointed me. First, he did not apologize for tear-gassing school children. I thought he would have started by apologizing for the brutality he exercised against school children. Be it as it may, I want to start by referring to the statement he made and agree with him that he wants to protect our children against pedophiles, against drug peddlers, against people who teach them negative ethnicity. One thing that I would just want to amend on the president's comment is he should have added that those children also need to be protected against corrupt leaders, against land grabbers, against liars, because we must start practicing what we say. You cannot be the president, you say that you're protecting the students against drug peddlers, but when you appoint your cabinet, you appoint 2 drug barons in your cabinet. So you should have started.
Like who? I'm sorry.
You know.
Who are those?
I do not want to mention names here, but it is in the public domain. We have drug barons in cabinet. You know, Kenyans know. We have drug barons in cabinet. And therefore, these things that we are telling these students are mature students. These are the same crop of students who are lied about laptops with the same person talking about protection. And therefore, these students know what is going on. And I would like to ask the president to ensure he talks his walk, because we are tired about these lectures, every time lecturing about us. I want to challenge Itumbi. These students know what is going on in their country. These students are chased from school to go and look for school fees because capitation money has not been given. Last year, 21,000 shilling per student was supposed to be disbursed to schools. only 9,000 was dispersed.
And the rest?
Yet,
the rest?
Yet Itumbi and the president donated 500 million to Grammy Awards. We want Itumbi and the president to be accountable. The 500 million shillings they donated to Grammy Awards, where no Kenyan participated. If that money was used to sponsor drama festival, if that money was used for capitation, then we will be making sense out of this.
Grammy Awards,
right.
just before you go on, it would be wrong to
to
continue this discussion without correcting that perspective.
Okay.
There was absolutely no donation made by Kenya government to the Grammy Awards.
No, but
just a minute, let me
500 million?
no, he's lying. So let me just correct him. Let me update him. He has no idea.
Who can lie?
Malala has no idea. Let me just tell him the truth and the facts as they are. Then he can spin all he wants. First, when he says capitation was done by government, he was seated in cabinet because he was UDASG last year at cabinet secretary level. No, just a minute. And he was seated there. He never corrected it in cabinet. He never spoke about it last year. He speaks about it now. But just a minute. On Grammy Awards, Kenya government, Nigeria, Rwanda, and South Africa lobbied to have Grammys had an idea to set up in Africa a Grammy. That's the Recording Academy headquarters. Kenya, like all the other 4 countries, bid to host the Recording Academy in Kenya. And part of the bid is to pay the money, 500
so
million.
The money
just a minute. The bid has not yet been decided. On February 27 and 28, there are delegations to Los Angeles office of the Recording Academy. If we lose the bid, of course the money is returned. Every bid, you bid with a proposal, with money put in. Malala just simply doesn't know that Kenya government has gone further to support creatives by even bringing the Recording Academy here. And the part of the deal is to create state-of-the-art, globally accepted visual studios at Konza. Part of that deal, it's not Konza actually, it's at Talanta Sports City. Just a minute, at Talanta Sports City. Just a minute. Just a minute.
We placed our deposit.
Yeah, it's not a deposit. No. Jeff, let's be fair. It's not a deposit.
Wait.
Countries place a bid. I mean, even when you're bidding for the World Cup, you place a bid, you put a proposal, you put a presentation, both tourism and commercial, and if you lose the bid, you get back what belongs to you.
Okay, wait, Cleophas, wait. Let's come back to the play.
No, just a moment.
Wait.
Just a moment, Jeff.
Weshimua.
Jeff.
You, when you were known as KJ, back in the day, ridiculous days, you guys, you bent all the rules. Well, it was during the time of Daniel Arap Moi, and you got away, I wouldn't say with murder, but you got away with a lot of things. How did that work then, and it's not working now?
And the Grammy Awards, because we need to sort out that Grammy thing. Because the Grammy committee...
What's a Grammy?
No, Jeff, it will be unfair to Kenyans. The Grammy committee...
Tutarudi kwa Grammy, wacha ajibu swali.
Jeff, this is your show. And okay. I'm just praying that I'll be here with Cleo, the artist.
Yes.
Because Cleo, the politician, might not take this conversation forward. Because some of the statements he makes are very far from the truth. Cleo might have been our SG last year.
Not
but
the
today,
CS for Finance.
Yes, but today, the CS of Finance was in Parliament, on the floor of the House. And we took him to task about many issues. And one of the issues we took him to task about was the issue of capitation to schools. And one of the reasons we're having delays even with the CDF disbursements is because government has to prioritize its disbursements of the monies that are available as revenue is collected.
Prioritize 500 million
in
for
this
Grammy.
case, the priorities at the beginning of this financial year was actually in capitation for schools, which has been paid full.
No, 4,000 shillings only. This term,
Just hold on.
this financial year,
that's why I want you to protect me from Cleo.
1,000.
I can have a very good discussion with Cleo the artist. Cleo the politician, I might not find my grounding. To your question, I'm still KJ.
Yes.
I've never changed from being KJ.
Yes.
And we are told...
JJ Kamodo, but
Yes.
that's another story.
And that too, Keheka Kimani, Sharif Nasir, Karuse, all this. And the truth is, as an artist, and I'm always very glad to see Cleo's play on stage, because I know he understands a lot of things, allegory, the imagery, and all this. It is said that as an artist, if you want to say that there are many ways of skinning a cat, you can say it differently. You can say that there are a myriad of ways to derobe the cat of its fur, maybe. And so Ridiculous did have its time on stage. However, it is only that person who does not appreciate the Bible verse that says that there is nothing new under the sun, and a person who probably might not understand their history right, that would imagine that the things that are happening today are new. I want to disabuse the notion that Ridiculous had an easy ride. In fact, it was way worse than what we have. You started off by saying that there was freedom of expression in the days of Moi. I want to say that that is not the case. Ridiculous ran into a lot of trouble that meant, physical assault, intimidation, being pulled off stage. At some point, the warning was very clear. We were told you either lose your education or lose your life, or lose both. And this was a message that was communicated from the highest offices, and it was communicated to the university through the university administration. And after that, what followed was chaos. I remember there are times when our director had to teach us on ways of how to get from studios, from location to the university without being trailed. But at some times, I remember we even had to spend nights in our director's house somewhere in Eastlands to just make sure that we are away from the watch of government. But that's not the case. The issue that I think we need to bring about is that this has happened before. In the case of Ngugi wa Thiong'o, in the case of Whispers, you remember his play, Mogathe Muvogothi, and many other examples that my teacher would give, even better, Barak Muluka. And it is not something to be celebrated. I want to believe that there's someone who wanted Cleo's play off the stage. They were overzealous, and some of us called it out. We said that this play belongs on stage. That's where the act needs to happen, because I am very certain that if this stage came out at the time when there was all these chaos about echoes of war, people would have realized there was actually nothing in this play that Cleo had written. I had an opportunity to look at the synopsis, and I can tell you, Jeff, there were more hard-hitting plays that have been allowed to be on stage, even in this festival.
Okay,
we are not saying that that is Ridiculous had it easy, and we're not saying that because they had it rough, anybody else should have it rough today.
Right.
As an artist, I would say that the freedom of expression is something that we all should be protected.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Let's go to your senior.
Yes.
Barak Muluka. Barak with the 2 R's. Remember those days of Gahikadeda, I will marry when I want, or Betrayal in the City? And they performed those despite what was going on.
Or even Ridiculous.
Well, later on.
And the point I wanted to make to conclude this is, Jeff, well, because of the artistry, and I was critiquing how you approach these things, because of the artistry, Ridiculous was not insulting.
No.
Because satire is intelligent humor. And at times, you might go so hard trying to make a point, and it could be a political point, it could be a social commentary, and forget that as an artist, there is a way you can cover your truths in a way that is akin to what Oscar Wilde describes. Oscar Wilde, the humorist, tells us that if you want to tell the world the truth, make them laugh. Otherwise, they will kill you. And that's how Ridiculous survived, because it became so popular so fast that even at some point, the state did not know what to do with the popularity of the show.
Hands down. Barak, your thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, really nothing changes, nothing new. and Jeff, it goes all the way into ancient times. I'm hearing echoes from the past, from antiquity, that in the year 399 BC, Socrates, the philosopher, was put to death by administration of the hemlock. And the crime was that he was corrupting young people with these ideas and with impiety. And it was basically because of seeking the truth. It was basically because of the philosophy that he was introducing into those spaces. And you can walk right through history, through the Middle Ages, through not just art, but even science, that you will find people like Copernicus running into trouble because of the understanding of astronomy, people like Galileo Galilei, people like Giordano Bruno, all the way up to where we are. But to fast forward and come to 1977, I was a young man, KJ.
In Form 6?
In Form 5, actually. It was 1977. You were born the following year when I was in Form 6.
Yes, I was.
And Ngugi wa Thiong'o had just, in fact, not published at that time, but scripted Ngaika Ndenda, which was being performed in Kamiridu. And he would say, and my boss later on, Henry Chakava, would also talk about it in a variety of papers. He would go on to explain that he workshopped the play with the villagers in Kamiritu, in Limuru here, and it became very popular. It was another metaphorical way of addressing the situation in the country, because when you say Ngaika Ndenda, basically it's not talking about marriage as such, although there's a girl who is supposed to be getting married, and at one point she declares that I will get married when I want, I'll marry when I want.
Yeah.
But it was also metaphorically like saying I will support the dispensation or the government of the day when I want. And this whole thought of ordinary local people in the village being able to workshop a play by somebody like Ngugi wa Thiong'o and beginning to use it to express their circumstances, worried the Jomo Kenyatta government at that time, it was not Moi, it was Jomo Kenyatta who was the president, and Ngugi was detained that December, and he stayed in detention for 12 months. Came out in December 1978, and that was now when the play was published in Gikuyu, and afterwards in English, and later on in Kiswahili. I was privileged not too long from that time to become one of the editors at Heinemann and at East African Educational Publishers, and we would go on to publish Ngugi under very difficult circumstances. The Kenya police would come every so often into the warehouses. They would carry away the books. They would go to the printers and they would carry away the printing plates. They would carry away all the sheets. They would go to the bookshops and they would carry away all the books. Other plays got banned. There was the trial of Dedan Kimathi by the self-same Ngugi wa Thiong'o, this time with Michere Mugo. Ngaika Ndenda had been done by himself, wa Thiong'o, and Ngugi wa Miri, and both had at some point to leave the country to go into exile. The play Muntu by Joe de Graft was staged for, no, it wasn't even staged. It was going to be staged by Kenyatta University staff and students, and the government clamped down upon it. So they had to devise a way around it, and that way was that they would say, we are rehearsing. We are not staging, we are rehearsing. Dennis, this is where Butere Girls comes in, and if they rehearsed, and if they were able to stage in earlier levels, and if the play was able to catch the attention of the country, the play was performed. And in the public mind, it actually won this year's overall. When you take all these categories that Dennis Itumbi, who is also one of my proteges, talks about, you find that the world is a stage, and all life is a play. And I'm not the one saying that. It was the playwright Shakespeare who says that in As You Like It. So that on this stage, this world that is a stage, the state itself becomes a character in the play. And so the play that was dramatized by Butere girls became too big for the limitation of the space that we would call the stage in the high school in Nakuru, and it had to be performed on the wider national stage.
Speaking of which, Queen Gathoni,
Yeah.
would you put this on a national stage?
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Why?
Because art imitates life, and for you to actually get upset by the art, you're already guilty. That's it. If the art upsets you, that's it.
You've made a message.
Yes.
You've sent a message.
Absolutely.
Crazy Kinar.
Yes.
Are you still giving out ministries? Are you still distributing bado napeana nini?
Hiyo ilishaisha hiyo. Hiyo ilishaisha.
Ishaisha?
Yeah.
What are you on? By the way, what did you think of what happened to Butere girls?
To me it was unfair because I also have a drama background. And when I was watching the news, seeing those girls running, it was a bit unfair because it's like a sign that the government has started fearing now what the capabilities that art can actually do. And it was not a good thing. Yes.
Jugush,
Yes.
you're a well-known actor. You're a well-known actor.
Am I? I think what I'd say is I think what we're having is a government of major minor.
Of major?
Minor. We are majoring in minor issues. What we are discussing, we wouldn't be discussing. We are not supposed to be discussing what we are discussing now because that's a minor issue. We've always done that. We had Shackles of Doom, same culprit.
And the same play right here.
Same culprit, yeah. So we had that, and we always had that because again, art is the mirror of the society, kioo cha jamii. So whatever we are talking about, it's something that we have. I'll take you back to Kifo Kisimani, where we are talking about Mtemi Bokono. Tunaweza sema in this case Bonoko. Mtemi Bonoko ana expect kuimbiwa nyimbo za sifa. There is a Batu who is the advisor to the Mtemi. Mtemi is the sultan in this case. Batu tells him watu wako na wewe. Then they go to the meeting, they realize people are not coming. They were told to wait in Mingamiwili so that they come as a group. Why are not people coming? They are saying hatukubalishi kunywa maji kwa kisima. Is it something that we can attest to now? In the same book, there is somewhere Askari 1 and 2. One Askari is for the people, the other is not for the people. The Askari 2 who is not for the people, ask who are those coming? Askari 1 says, ni bibi yako anakuja kuimbia nyimbo za mapenzi. So this is what they are learning in school. So first of all, this is not politics. It's what they are learning in class. Kitabu cha tamthilia. That's what they are doing. And it's examinable by the Kenya National Examination Council. Now, that is what they are learning. Outside, as he said, there are kids who went, maybe in some time, they were tear gas somewhere in Langata. They were told, now, we are going to give you laptops. They never saw them. Now they're in high school. They are 3 years away, because at most, I think they're 15, 16, 17. So in 3 years' time, the time now we are saying 2027, Kumi Bila break, is when these kids are ready to vote. So they might know a thing or two. And we are seeing, now I have a problem with what we are saying about TSC compliant teachers. Now tell me, do we also get watchmen who are TSC compliant? We have the non-teaching staff in school, and there is a reason why we have TSC. The other day, they were short in numbers of teachers. So, if they are short in numbers of teachers, when it comes to drama and other co-curricular activity, we're talking about football, don't you think it's also fair these guys take what they are doing? Because now what we are doing is we are realizing just now that we have pedophiles in those teachers, which is wrong. And as we are going through that route, what happens to the young arts, the young sportsmen and women who this country, every time they are running, we are behind them, and it starts at the secondary school, so to speak. So my problem is first with the verification of the drama teachers as a group. Two, I fear for these people, whoever it is, because we are saying watoto wanatumiwa vibaya. Then basi huyu mtu akona nguvu, because watoto wanatumiwa vibaya, kidogo journalist wanatumiwa vibaya. Si tuliona wakizima kamera, you wonder why a whole professor of law will say zima kamera, kwani anaoga nje. Aya, two, but let me finish. Every time the doctors wanatumiwa vibaya. The other day, the clergy inatumiwa vibaya. Kwani kila mtu anatumiwa vibaya. So in my own opinion, I feel it was really unfair to go to that extent where you're even bringing friendly policemen to come and deal with school children. For me, well, we have other issues in Baringo. Every time we have security issues, kids are doing boarding, not by kupenda. It's just because we don't have security. So they're in boarding school, in day school, because of lack of security. The other contingent, iko Haiti. I don't want to go there. But I feel we are majoring in minor issues. Like, for example, as he said about the Grammys, why do we need the Grammys? First of all, the arts we have, we live from mouth, is it hand to mouth?
Hand to mouth.
Yeah, from one gig to the other. Before we go to the Grammys,
Yes.
we live from, so we are majoring in minor, those are minor issues. Can we focus on the issues at hand? When we're talking about TSC compliance, is it CBC compliance? Some schools don't even have desks. And we are talking about we need teachers who are TSC.
We don't even have
and the
classes
TSC,
in some places.
yeah, and the TSC
You saw
letters.
those stories in Baringo, eh?
Yeah.
You saw the guy taking us through Baringo.
No,
But
Jeff,
Dennis, let me ask you this question. Before you
Yeah,
answer, I know
okay.
you have an answer there.
Okay.
Let me ask you real quick. Butere girls have been performing for years and winning for years. They're known for their artistic, amazingness. Would it have been embarrassing because First Lady Rachel Ruto went to Butere Girls? If Butere Girls had emerged as #1 and this play would have had to be played out in State House, would that have been a little bit embarrassing?
Absolutely not. I mean, there's no play that is blocked from coming to State House. Let me say this because you've fairly asked me about my view on Butere Girls and the issues that have been discussed about it. Let me say I belong to the group of people who say, and I've heard throughout this bench as I spoke, who say that it was absolutely unnecessary to stop the play from being performed. Absolutely.
You agree?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the assumption that if you work for government, you hold a certain position.
Yeah.
In fact, KJ knows we share some platforms where I was very clear on those platforms that I am a playwright in this festival. I have a play and a verse that I've performed in the Nationals this year. I must point out, this is a playbook of the drama festivals, because you also have to appreciate that this happens within a certain framework and rules. So this is the Ministry of Education Rules and Regulation 2025. And on page 31, it says, trainers of Kenya National Drama Festival items shall be teachers and tutors registered by the TSC or lecturers employed by a registered post-secondary education. I am not a teacher. I'm not registered to be a teacher, just like Malala. We perform in these plays out of passion, albeit illegally, as per the rules of the festival. This goes on, and I don't want to spend too much time. I'll leave this to you be able to do a story. And I've marked a few things you can look at. Or whoever who made the decision made it as per the rules of the festival. Remember, this festival is fully funded by the government of Kenya. The accommodation, transport, quote-unquote fee for performance, the adjudicators who judge, the teachers, the backdrops, everything about this festival is judged by the government. So to be fair, government has a point to make rules. Citizen sponsors roadshows across Kenya, Jeff. I'm sure Citizen will not allow someone to hold the microphone and say Citizen TV is the worst TV in Kenya. Because Citizen owns the roadshow. Even if there's freedom of expression on the roadshows, Citizen, by virtue of doing their roadshow, own whatever happens within that roadshow. That's number one. Number two, the issue of Butere Girls changed from a play to a discipline issue. Immediately, the curtains were open, and the girls took a microphone and said, we are not going to perform without our director. It changed from a play to a school discipline issue. Imagine a school assembly, and students come and say, because porridge did not have sugar today, we are not going to go to class. It immediately changes to a school discipline issue. Number three, there are unfair aspects on that. Even if we managed to get Butere Girls on stage to perform, one major unfair aspect was that some people were blocked at the gate by overzealous security personnel. And that was wrong. I mean, just allow people to perform a play. It's been performed in 3 stages. My very able teacher here, a man who I hold with much respect and who deserves the highest reward that its citizens spare, that the country spares for its citizens, Barak, has just given us a history from 339 BC. There is absolutely no reason to stifle that. However, imagine if a school tomorrow came with a play and taking all what has been said about freedom of expression and says Christians is the worst faith in the world, and or even Muslims, that all Muslims are terrorists. That is why at school we have the Kenya National Drama School Festival, which guides which play can be staged and which ones cannot be.
Okay.
But let me conclude by saying,
yes,
Jugushia and Crazy Kena, I am an avid consumer of their of what they produce. In fact, if they were to get the data, they would see I watch the items sometimes 2 or 3 times. They recently had a show of 6 people. I don't remember what it was called.
Six.
It was not a play. It was a podcast.
Big Six.
Yeah, the Big Six. The Big Six and the podcast, and it was staged somewhere. I mean, they were selling the tickets at premium. I'm among the people who bought the most tickets, and they'll tell you because I don't go even for complimentaries. I consume art. They criticize government in their items. Nothing has ever happened to them. They even tell off government sometimes. No one has ever come for them.
Okay.
So government accepts creative economic criticism, but within a school system, there are guidelines in which to handle that.
But Dennis, you make a very good point. They criticize government, nothing happens to them. But Butere girls were tear gassed that night. And then, according to Cleophas, they were made to stay in their rooms until 6 in the morning. No rehearsal. Their props were taken away from them. They were forced to perform at 6, which they couldn't.
No, Jeff. Let me correct something, because I know for a fact no one forced them to perform at 6.
Go on.
In fact, they got on stage at 8. I mean, that thing was live. It's still on YouTube. So it is not something that I'm arguing. It's something that you can tell your backend to look at now on YouTube. If they are right, actually, the adjudicator's bell rang at 8:22 a.m. And it's on YouTube. It's not something I'm making up. It's something you can verify. But however, the people who tear gassed Butere girls, who are the overzealous security people, the people who stopped them from rehearsing.
And who took their props.
No, props, by the way, my understanding, I don't know what happened with the props, but my understanding of how props work at the Nationals, being a producer myself, is at the region. When you qualify at the zonals, you carry your own props and fund. When you go to the county level, the sub-county where you have won takes over and transports them. Then you go to the regionals. At the regionals, our props, we meet them at the place where we are going because they carry them. At the Nationals, the region, so in this case, the Western region, is responsible for the props. No one else is. So what I would imagine might have happened is that during this closure of the entrance to the hall, that car that was carrying the props from Western could have been locked out. And I wholly condemn that. I mean, if this play it has been performed in 3 stages during this festival, I am 100% sure. And by the way, I doubt it was a winning play at those various stages.
Have you seen it?
No, I've read it.
You've read it, yeah.
Malala writes absolutely great plays. By the way, the current discussion on Malala, will tell you within the festival, is whether to do plays that have a crowd scene or to do plays without a crowd. In fact, the winning play this year, I have a good friend who is also a friend of Malala called Justin Ongwen. He's written a brilliant play which you should watch on YouTube for Riara Springs. It's a brilliant play, but it uses a crowd. There is a new argument around the festival that to grow the talent you need to put. We all have our different views about it. There is also an argument about how much gadgetry you can use to advance a play. I mean, KJ had a dance with Dagoretti High last year.
And this year.
And they had tech, but that tech was not allowed in the festival. My friend Joseph Murungu was the first guy we broke windows and doors of the festival halls when he produced a crocodile that was swallowing someone in a river, and that was produced on stage. We actually, because the hall was full, the people who bought tickets, the hall got full. So there was no one to sit. So because we were blocked outside, and not because the drama festival had a mistake, but because the hall was small, we broke the place to be able to see. And that now comes to what Jogos was raising. The president today has spoken to something that has been happening, and that starts, already the first 2 halls are being developed. One of the key things that the creative industry has been raising is, where do we get an arena where we can do our stuff and make profit. The biggest we have now is Sarit Center, which has 6,000 people. Jogosh and my friend Abel, by the way, I acted in plays with Jogosh at the Kenya Institute of Mass Communication.
Can you still act?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Once an actor, always an actor. It's like asking me, can just still drive? Yeah.
Yes.
So the president today has announced the building of studios and the building of theaters in schools. I know people here have told me, why are you investing in Grammys instead of people in Baringo who have no schools? And yet, in this very place, they will ask, what are you doing for the creative economy? One of the reasons why Kenyan music has problems getting on Spotify, and Spotify key management, global management came to see me in my office. One of the issues is the quality of the production. We have very good studios, very absolutely good producers like my friend Musioka. We have absolutely good studios, but we are yet to reach global standards that are acceptable for people to make money. So here is Kenya now going forward ahead of time to make sure we get an investment that's accepted, like the Recording Academy, that's accepted globally, so that what we produce is consumed globally and people make money.
Okay.
So surely that cannot be.
All right, KJ, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. The president is still talking about protecting the children. Even today, he says he's going to protect the children against what he calls pedophiles or whatever. Come on, man. It's just one play. It's one play.
Just before KJ answers on pedophiles, because it has come up, TSC has a tribunal. I challenge you to send journalists tomorrow. My friend Linus Kaikai, because I'm sure he's watching,
yes,
and he's a key editor here, please send journalists to TSC tomorrow and find how many pedophile cases are appearing on the tribunal of TSC. Find how many drug peddlers cases are appearing in the profile. These are real issues. This is not even related to drama per se. It is school issues that are happening. Last year, Kenya had a very heavy number of children who had gotten pregnant while in school. Very heavy numbers, very sad stories. The president is addressing a live issue. So surely we can't criticize when the president also corrects real issues about pedophiles and drug peddlers in schools.
But it has nothing to do with echoes of war.
It's the president of the country, and I think he's in his place to protect the children in school. And I would not want to trivialize the issue of pedophiles in schools, because every parent will tell you they would be very concerned about who goes through a gate and ends up in a compound, in a school compound where there may be students who are girls and so on and so forth. But and I don't think we should even be trivializing that. The charge here by Njugush is that this country may end up being a major minor country, where we deal with issues that are peripheral, not going to the crux of the matter. Very many issues have been raised here about the drama festival, about the standards, about the regulations. And I have a word to say about each and every one of those issues that have been raised. But allow me to just respond to the issue of outsiders being directors in plays, in the drama festival.
Like someone like Cleophas.
And myself, and Dennis Itumbi, and many others.
Yes.
And we all agree, and I don't think anybody would debate this, that if we today woke up and took out Cleophas Malala, Dennis Itumbi, the KJs, and other people out of the festival, the quality of the festival would really depreciate. The balance to be struck here is the question, when we get into these schools, how responsible are we? Are these children going to go on stage to speak their minds, or are they going to go on stage to speak the mind of KJ? Because then again, you're not being fair to this child to go and indoctrinate the child to have a voice of their own. And I want to take it that each and every one of us here is responsible enough. And if we were not responsible enough, I'm sure even Cleo would not be allowed to be producing plays. Over and above that, for us not to trivialize the matter on the festivals, the issue Dennis raises about how do we take the festival forward. Some of us have attempted to even inject world-class standards into the productions in schools and ended up being penalized for it. Last year, we were in Embu for the Nationals, and I remember Cleo stood by me as I was condemning the festival for being so archaic that as we left the festival in the 80s, as we left it in the 90s, as Kina Njugush found it in the 2000s, is how still it is. Whereas this child is supposed to graduate from that drama festival and end up on a world stage. So that if it is America's Got Talent or East Africa's Got Talent or whatever it is, that's the standard of production that this child will be graduating into. an attempt was made by Dagoretti High School to upgrade the props that come on stage. Amazing concept where these learners would be interacting with digital technology as they perform on stage, and we thought this was progressive. The adjudicators did not think the same. It was really not good for us as Dagoretti High School. We did not over-dramatize the issue. We took the issue in our stride and we moved on. In the same way, we want to imagine that other attempts will be made by other troops and other schools to bring up the quality of productions in the drama festival to a higher level. But over and above that, the issue of investment on infrastructure is a big one. I would not want to speak for every other constituency or any other school, as Queen is saying that there are schools that do not have classrooms and so on and so forth. I can speak for Dagoretti South constituency. It is not by chance that Dagoretti South constituency is leading in drama, is leading in basketball to the national level and even to the regionals, is leading in rugby, even representing Kenya to the regional level, is leading in soccer, is because there is a very deliberate investment that we are making in Dagoretti South constituency to grow these extracurricular talents. When I got in, Dagoretti South constituency could only host a festival in Lenana School, where you came for the festivals. I think it was in 2021. Today, as we speak, Dagoretti South constituency is hosting festivals not only at Lenana School, at Dagoretti High School. We have built a multi-purpose hall at Rodhemeto Girls. We have built a multi-purpose hall at Botoine, and this is a practical movement towards getting this infrastructure working in the sense that by investing in the Grammys, it does not mean that government is not investing in all these other things. The Dagoretti South constituency, to Queen's point, out of the 12 new schools in Nairobi County, which has 17 constituencies, out of 17 constituencies and out of 12 new schools, 6 of them are in the Dagoretti South constituency, built from scratch, using the people's revenue, the taxes that people put that come back to us as CDF.
Okay. 6
new schools in that place. So it doesn't mean that by investing in the Grammys, we are not going to invest in classrooms and so on.
Unajisifu sana huko.
Unajisifu sana. And it is the truth.
Wacha niende kwa Crazy Kenara. Crazy, do you get worried sometimes when you do some of the skits that you do? Do you get worried? You'll be picked up, you'll be abducted. Have you been threatened? Have you been arrested?
For me, no.
Huh?
No. And when I do these videos, I just show what is happening. As a comedic writer, we usually have a thin line between comedy and tragedy.
Yeah.
So these are tragedy things, but I'm presenting them in a comedic way.
Yeah.
So my role in the society is to mirror exactly what is happening and bring it in a comedic way.
In fact, I think we have one of them. Do we have a skit there? Can we show it real quick? Just some Crazy Kenara stuff. Go ahead.
The government is expected to release a list of appointed secretaries, and serious vetting process is ongoing.
So after doing my amazing master's in finance, I went ahead and did 2 more PhDs. One in finance and another one in financial.
20 billion!
Mbona mademu wanaitangwa chicks? Ni juu wako na fedha.
Calculus E, community development E, financial accounting, HIV and AIDS E, financial. In fact, get out of my class.
sono assato. Oh, bella ciao.
You know, Crazy Kana, you don't speak very much, but your videos speak volumes.
Yeah, you know.
What are you trying to say there? What are you trying to say?
I think you can already see what I was trying to communicate, because one thing I've learned about the government and particularly life is a man is what he does, not what he says. And in communication, when you keenly study how the government communicates, and there are some 3 pillars of communication, ethos, pathos, and lagos, you notice that ethos, pathos, and lagos.
Aye.
You notice that the government is very good at lagos, communicating in a place where they evoke the emotion, the emotional appeal. So I always say that, I always believe that before somebody speaks, let us check the credibility, the ethos part. Why are you? Because they might say A, but do B.
Yeah.
So it's advisable for the people to actually be attentive to what the government is doing, not what the government is saying. Yeah.
How long does it take you to do a skit normally?
It depends, sometimes 6 hours, 5 hours, but the production process is, it begins from the conceptualization of the idea, the writing itself, the casting, the directing, everything is just like a whole film format. So it might take maybe the shooting itself 6 hours, but the development of the idea might take some days.
Na kina Deno wamekuthreaten, wamekupigia simu?
Bado.
Kena is actually my friend. So, but let me say something about. Let me correct something. I'm just correcting something. I'm just correcting one thing, that the Recording Academy we have proposed is not going to be Konza, but the Talanta City, which includes a stadium that's being built. Thank you.
There are also efforts for the creative economy of the concerts, Technopolis.
That is part of the literature in their manifesto. Now,
you were part of them. You were
I was lied to, and I apologize. I was lied to.
You lied to by who?
Because I thought the manifesto as a literature piece is a perfect academic paper. Perfect. But when it comes to the implementation, that is where we draw lines with them.
Can you refund the money then you got out of it? Being the SG. Now that you're lied to.
For example, I have an issue with the Grammy Awards.
What's a Grammy?
You see,
what's a Grammy?
Okay.
You were SG of UDA.
But you see, 500 million shillings is not a joke.
You see, Kitu
500 million shillings. And now you want to tell us...
If we don't get it, they'll get the money back.
Now we want to know, we want accountability, because the Grammy committee categorically said they did not receive any money. So from tomorrow, we shall be calling for accountability as to where that money went to. Second,
turudi kwa Echoes of War bana. Wachana Grammys.
Aya sawa, lakini tutarudi huko. Mpaka waseme pesa ilienda wapi.
Are you going to re-perform Echoes of War?
This government has criminalized creativity.
Are you going to hire Queen to direct for you?
This government has criminalized creativity. My best creative, if you ask me, my best creative right now is Kibet Bull. The person who was drawing cartoons. But he was abducted. He was tortured. He has been intimidated into silence. And therefore, we must, first of all, work out on the issue of criminalizing creativity. We want Dennis Itumbi. Dennis Itumbi is a victim of abduction.
How so?
That's true.
When we were going to the elections, Dennis Itumbi was abducted, was harassed. He nearly faced his death. Why it not for the creatives, the likes of Wakina Kibet Bull, Wakina Crazy Kena, Wakina Njugush, who raised their voice on social media? Dennis Itumbi would not have been released. But now, when Kibet Bull is being harassed, when Kibet Bull is being abducted, Dennis Itumbi is silent just because he's seated on the dining table.
I tweeted about that issue.
No, tweeting is not enough.
But what did you want me to do?
You should have talked to the person who had abducted Kibet Bull.
You knew the person. You know the person. I have no idea. Tell me.
You know the person.
Do you know the person?
Ask the former AG.
Do you know them?
Ask the former AG. He told us the person. You want me to say the person?
Yes.
Are you sure? Are you sure, Jeff?
If you are 100%.
Are you sure you want me to say the person
on TV?
Dare me. Are you sure? Now, second, on that.
I am sure myself. I am sure. Name the person.
Sure, but
name the person.
Jeff, it is at this point that you should have read Barack Budruk and remind us that it is written that a tiger never talks about its tigritude. It bounces. There is a tiger here talking about its tigritude.
No, but
not able to bounce. But also, I wanted to interject so that we don't allow Malala to act as if he has the monopoly for the voice of advocating for artists. We all do advocate for art.
But I want Malala to tell me whether this play is going to be reenacted by adults or whoever.
I have said it time and again that we are going to enact this play with an adult cast. By the same time, we must honor the young girls of Butere Girls. We must honor them. The proceeds of that show, a percentage of it must go to those girls. Because those girls are heroines. Those girls will be inscribed in history for fighting for liberation. I heard somebody else telling me that, why are you using students to do politics? Students are part of the liberation journey. Remember South Africa?
1976.
Sarafina. Students started the liberation journey. And therefore, there is nothing wrong for students to take part in politics. There is nothing wrong for students to take part in creating and crafting their future.
Okay, Queen.
Now, I am going to do this play. This is how I'm going to do it.
Go on.
First of all, 5 days after today, we're going to invite for auditions. We want to get the best actors. We don't want it to be a Nairobi thing, whereby only Nairobi actors or actresses participate in this. We are going to call for nationwide auditions. And this is how we are going to do it. We are going to put the script in the social media platforms. And then anybody, even if you're in Turukana, Wajir, Kakamega, Mombasa, take an excerpt of the script, look for somebody in your village, enact it, and upload it on TikTok. We will be able to get you and identify talent. This is going to be a Kenyan play. We are going to act this play using Kenyan artists. Even in the remotest villages, we are going to get artists. And therefore, I want to invite Itumbi. If you're an actor, get some piece of lines there with your friend, even if it's in State House. Enact it, and he can be a very good sultan.
Let me ask Queen real quick. Queen, were you asked to rewrite this play by anyone? Were you asked?
I was asked to restage it.
To
restage it for the rest of the audience.
What does that mean?
Basically to get a cast and crew and put the same show on stage. Well, yes, I'd love to. I would also want the girls to be honored and to get the chance to raise their voice and to actually be able to stage, because they've been rehearsing the sleepless nights. I know what it takes to just rehearse a play and put it on stage. It takes so much. And then immediately after you stage the play, your life continues as if nothing happened. And it takes so much time to literally get that beautiful piece of work on stage. And then suddenly we're done and the kids have to go home. I think something KJ has spoken about, modernizing theater. And Itumbi, this is up to you and the government. We cannot keep doing things like they were done in the 70s or the 80s. Theater has progressed. There has to be a bridge between what the kids are doing in school and what they're coming to find in the market. We can't have shouting theater and then when the kids come back home, they're out of school and we want to put them on a show. We have to teach them again from scratch. So, well, a book like this exists. What does it exist for? What does it change? What does it do for the game? So having the book is good, having the rules is good, but you're also saying most of these rules are being bent because if it says it has to be TSC teachers who are teaching and who are teaching drama, then how is it that there's so many people who are actually not under TSC who are doing these things. So coming with this book to tell us that these are the rules, well, they don't even apply. And then the same children who we're politicizing heavily, we're judging heavily, we're tear gassing, we're causing trauma, we're creating ops in children, we're teaching children how to hate a government. Well, they're still children. We've fallen so far back as a people that we can't even allow children to stage a play.
Yeah.
So I think, well, all of these things Dennis is saying exist, and they are there to be seen.
And you've done quite a few political dramas, haven't you?
Yes.
Did you get into any trouble doing any of those?
It's been from 2017, 2018 we had someone come backstage with a gun and throw us out of the Kenya National Theatre. Yes.
What was the name of the play?
Brazen. We were doing, it was an all-women play, produced and written by women. We told the story of Nyanjiro, Field Marshal Muthoni. We told the story of Zarina Patel, the granddaughter of the Jivanji family.
Yeah.
So it was, our stories are heavily political. We've staged the story of Tomboya 22 times. And
amazing production.
thank you. And in last year, in August, we had security around the auditorium when our show was going on.
Because
yes,
you were threatened or...
and I mean, our show was happening at a time when the country was...
The Gen Zs
yes,
were
and
up
were all in the streets and rejecting the finance bill. And so it means that we already know that these things happen and they might happen to us as well, but that will never stop us. We will never stop to tell political stories because political stories are needed. Political literature is needed. All of these things are very, very important if we are going to change as a people, if the work that Ali Mazrui has done over the years,
Triple heritage,
if all of those things mean something, then this must continue.
Jagush, do you ever get worried when you do your stuff?
No, one, because I was in KMC.
You were
in KMC I did journalism.
Yes.
So you're taught to be fearless.
Yes.
And he was also there. I think that's
was he your senior?
Yes, he was my senior. Walikuwa kwanza na drama mbili. Walifanya maandamano. They had a different play from the one the school presented.
And you won.
You won, eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh.
Na yao haikufungwa. Now, so I come from that, whatever, but also in art, whatever we do ni kioo cha jamii. So what I'm doing is not politics. It's actually it's one of my easiest things to create is current affairs. Because 50% has already been done.
But it's also satire.
It's satire, exactly. So 50% has been done.
Yeah.
But my worry is, and I've seen Itumbi with the handbook, and I was so happy because now we are following the handbook. But when it comes now on the other side, because that's not him who makes the decision, when it comes to having a CS, we throw the handbook of the country, which is the constitution, and now we say a CS must not be a technocrat. Wewe ni beste yangu. Again, we are talking about a teacher who is going to teach drama must not be a TSC. But now when it comes to the country, anyone, wewe, do you have anything in health? Ai, hauna. CS kuja tumpatie hii ya health. Haya, tunaenda security. Hauna mahali umeguzana security? Tunapatia. So at the end of the day, the people who are not, like for example, we have a board chair who is not an engineer, but she's sitting an ambia engineer. So what does that also tell us? So I think we must walk the talk. And the problem I have is like we have two mouths. So today, the government is speaking from this mouth, saying, never again, that thing lingers in my head, never again shall people be killed. And then this other mouth
kills.
Yes. Then the next day, never again. Abduction, it happens. Never again corruption, it happens. So that's why we are not quick to believe what the government is saying, and that's why these voices are coming even from the children, because now kidogo chapati, even now it might be true tutapata chapati, but mahali tumefika juu tumezoea. You are like, ay, kweli chapati even.
By the way, unasema ile chapo 1 million a day ama?
Hapana, sisemi hiyo. Again ni satire.
Oh. Speaking of satire, Jagush, ebu check one of your skits.
Musichome.
Ebu check.
Wali wako wapi? We, nyinyi ni Waterere girls. Nyinyi ni hao mnajua sana darasa moja A. Katika darasa la hiyo play yenu haina nini? Haina mahali kuna makofi. Niwe nauliza. Nakwambia wewe Simba Malala wewe. Kwani anakaa hakuna mahali mnapiga makofi?
Hapana.
Unajua sasa mtemi hafurahi. Hamna mahali mnashangilia mtemi na kuonyesha mambo amefanya. Niwe nauliza.
Hatuna.
Edgar, niwe nauliza. Hamna?
Hatuna.
Nyinyi waigizaji, michezo ya kuigiza. Mlikuja zile kusoma ama kuigiza. Kioo cha jamii, ndio nyinyi hawa darasa moja A. Terere girls. Mko na court order. Okay. Haya.
Your police station unatoka wapi?
So I think one, the constitution allows us, and I think this is the most fortunate thing to happen in our times.
The freedoms.
The freedom of speech, and that's why people are asking question. Two, people are learned. When they are seeing these things, they know we should get this. Like, for example, tell me why an MP should be given money to do things that are devolved. And then the governor, so we are undermining devolution. The governor ako hapo hapewi pesa. Every time they have press conferences, tunataka pesa iachiliwe, inaachiliwa nusu. But there is some money, quick money, yenye inatoka. Tunaenda mlima, pesa itatoka. Tunafanya nini? So there is quick money ya kanisa, but there is no quick money. Even for the MPs, jana waligoma, wakasema hatutaendelea, pesa ikatoka.
Leo ikatoka.
Yes.
Haraka sana. By the way, how long does it take you to turn around the skit? Plus minus?
I think 50%, as I said, work has already been done. Tunajua vile. And that's why we have books that you can take hiyo kitabu na useme hii ni Kenya. Mai waziri wa
mkazi. No, unasema hizi skits zako.
Niko drako ila aterere. I'm saying 50% work has already been done. Like you know what he's saying or she's saying is different from this other one. So you have 50% work already done. So in like 1 minute you're done.
Wow. Okay, folks, I want to take a break. Come back. Barack with the 2 hours Maluka. I don't know if you realize that 41 years ago, I wrote a play, St. Mary's School.
Jeff Mwaura.
Yes, their only entry into the Kenya National Drama Festival ever came number one. Look up the archives. 1984.
What was the name of the play?
It's Only a Matter of Time.
Oh.
It was about South Africa and, independence and apartheid and all that stuff. It's only a matter of time. 41 years ago.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe I should have continued like you and wrote some more. But it's great. We're having great conversation.
And maybe you might not want to lose the conversation that Jonah has started.
Which is?
When we come back from the break. Is even as we talk about all and decry all the issues that are facing artists, where also do we place responsibilities? Because, yes, where do we place the responsibility?
Where does the buck stop?
Exactly. I would remember, and I know Njugush remembers, so does DI. In the time of COVID, government decided that they're going to give 100 million Kenya shillings to artists to alleviate the issues that were facing artists at that time.
Suffering,
And I remember the government had a really difficult time even identifying who an artist is. So even as we are throwing the back at everyone else, how well organized are we as artists?
Yeah, but
how well
Jeff,
are we?
I'd like to interject.
Yes.
I'd like that you brought up that
I like
conversation.
that. Okay. Queen, and
But
all the
because I received a bit of that money.
And you will let
I received 4,000 shillings.
And you will allow me to prosecute the
Queen. You got 4K.
I got 4,000 shillings.
Me, I did
from
not
that.
even
4,000 shillings.
No. I'm saying, and this is where we ended up in.
Okay,
because
I like that.
Because
I like that.
So as we come from the break,
yes,
100 million COVID money plus 500 million.
And you will allow me. And you will allow me, Jeff. You will allow me, Jeff, to prosecute my point. You will allow me.
And we'll talk about
Yes.
And Crazy Kana got nothing.
We've got to know how she ended up getting
alipata.
All right.
Exactly.
Keep it coming, folks. At Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag is JK Live. Great conversation. We'll talk about freedom of expression coming on the heels of echoes of war. Where do we go from here? We got all the players. We've got a star-studded cast. Keep it locked. Keep it Citizen TV. Back in a moment.